Welcome to Man Utd Transfer HQ, your ultimate source for all things Manchester United transfer news and rumours. Our first news is Gary Neville, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes each picked candidate to replace Ruben Amorim at Man United. Manchester United legends Gary Neville, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes have had their say on the club's next manager should Ruben Amorim get the sack. Gary Neville, Roy Keane and Paul Scholes have nailed their colours to the mast over who should step in should Manchester United run out of patience with Ruben Amorim. The head coach has come under intense pressure this season following a torrid start to the campaign, which has seen a humiliating Carabao Cup exit to Grimsby and poor league form. There was speculation that Amorim could be sacked if he failed to beat Sunderland on Saturday, but a 2-0 win over the Black Cats has eased the pressure somewhat. Minority owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe has insisted he will give Amorim time, although it is hard to see United sticking with the Portuguese coach if they become mired in the bottom half of the table, as they were last season, especially having spent more than £200 million on new signings in the summer. If United do pull the trigger, United legends Neville, Scholes and Keane have made it clear who they would like at the helm. Both Neville and Keane would go for long-serving Atletico Madrid boss Diego Simeone. Speaking on the Stick to Football podcast, Keane spoke of his admiration for the fiery Argentine, who has led Atletico to the La Liga title and Champions League finals. The Irishman said, "I've said it for years, I'd like Atletico Madrid Simeone to go in there. I'd like to see him go there. I know his mate has gone to Arsenal, Andrea Berta, who left Atletico to join the Gunners as sporting director. I think he would just create havoc, but good havoc. He'd rock up to that place. No guarantees, but I'd just like to see his personality, his track record. People might think styles of football, but they scored 5 against Real Madrid, winning 5-2 last weekend. He doesn't like his teams giving up too many goals or chances, but they can play a bit and fight." At Liverpool, where Atletico lost 3-2 in the Champions League a few weeks ago, the team aren't as great as few years ago, but they still had fighting spirit. He's on the sideline, he got sent off that night. I'd like a big personality. However, Keane isn't pushing for Amorim to be sacked just yet. He joked, "I'd still say give the man a chance, absolutely. Another week." Neville agreed with Keane, adding, "I think I'd go with that. I'd go with Simeone." However, Scholes went for Newcastle boss Eddie Howe, although he had reservations about his longtime assistant, Jason Tindall, joining him. He said, "I'm not sure about his mate, Tindall, but definitely him." However, Amorim looks set to be given more time, judging by Ratcliffe's recent comments on the Times The Business podcast. Our second news is the simple truth about Man United, the Glazers and a Saudi takeover by Turki Al-Sheikh. Manchester United have been in the hands of the Glazer family for 20 years, during which time around £1.2 billion has been spent on debt interest, repayments, dividends and fees, after a takeover that loaded the club with debt. The Glazers have treated Manchester United like a cash cow. For 2 decades, the Floridian billionaires, who own a 48.9% stake in the club, have been making hay while the sun shines. They have done so having loaded the club up to its eyeballs with debt. Since their 2005 takeover, around £1.2 billion has been spent on debt interest, repayments, dividends and fees to the Glazers. They have sat back and milked a club they view as a business, more than a footballing institution for as much as they possibly could, despite not winning the Champions League since 2008 or the Premier League title since 2013, United continue to boast record revenues. Never mind losses of £33 million, the latest figures in June showed United generated revenues of almost £670 million. And this is despite the team not even being in the Champions League. They are largely reviled by United fans. But they don't care. And when you've got the cash coming in like they have, who would want to give up such a good thing? Certainly, not the Glazers. You'd have to be filthy rich to even get them to the table to persuade them to sell a piece of their United pie. But on thing that Turki Al-Sheikh most definitely is filthy rich. A billionaire worth in excess of £2 billion, he's the head of the sporting division of the Saudi Arabian government. And the man masterminding a sport-washing campaign aimed at improving his nation's atrocious reputation when it comes to human rights, the treatment of women and political controversies. The Saudis have the keys to the kingdom when it comes to LIV golf, while Formula One has succumbed to the Middle East kingdom's vast wealth too. So has snooker, with darts poised to follow. In 2034, the World Cup heads there too. Publicly, Al-Sheikh, better known as Turkey, has his claws into boxing. You'll have seen him calling up Eddie Hearn and making the Matchroom boxing supremo jump into action whenever he fancied in the Hearn's Netflix documentary. Turkey's £1 billion collaboration with DAZN, via Matchroom, has seen the biggest fights head to Saudi. Now speculation is mounting that he wants a stake in United. For starters, Ineos, who own a 27.7% share of United, are not in the conversation. Sir Jim Ratcliffe remains committed to the English giants, and has no interest in selling what he spent a lifetime striving to get his hands on. On the other hand, however, the Glazers would be willing to sit round a table if the price was right. Yet, it would stretch even Turkey's cavernous pockets. United's current value is around £2 billion, but the Glazers would want a premium, based on potential future values. Our last news is Man Utd bomb squad star makes surprise transfer admission after making summer move. Former Manchester United bomb squad member Antony has claimed one of Europe's top clubs wanted him in the summer, but he was keen to return to Real Betis. Antony has revealed that he was courted by numerous clubs, including Bayern Munich, before his departure from Manchester United. The 25-year-old was part of the so-called bomb squad at United, a group of players deemed surplus to requirements and put up for sale last summer. The others were Jadon Sancho, Alejandro Garnacho and Tyrell Malacia. Antony eventually signed with Spanish side Real Betis, where he had enjoyed a successful loan spell in the second half of last season. However, Antony's decision wasn't straightforward. That he claims he received interest from Bayern, Benfica, Fenerbahce, RB Salzburg, and Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr, as he considered his options away from Old Trafford. Antony's time at United was a letdown following his £85 million transfer from Ajax in 2022, with the club taking a loss of more than £60 million when he made his permanent move to Betis. Despite that, if Antony's claims are accurate, they highlight the untapped potential that many clubs still believe he possesses. Speaking to Brazilian media, he said, "Bayern also approached me, but I had practically everything agreed with Betis. I was torn, but I was already 95% committed to Betis. The financial aspect is important, but my happiness. I know how happy my son, my daughter, and my wife are in Seville." Turki Al-Sheikh drops cryptic Man Utd Takeover update and says deal is advanced. Man Utd Takeover, how much Glazers would want to sell to Saudi and Turki Al-Sheikh. In addition, Antony has alleged that he was shown a lack of respect by certain individuals at United. In a recent interview with ESPN Brazil, he said, "I'm not the kind of guy who gets involved in controversies, who names people. In fact, I won't mention anyone's name here. But I think there was a bit of a lack of respect there, even a bit of rudeness too, with no one giving you a good morning, a good afternoon. Not even that. But, anyway, that's in the past. I won't give much importance to these things. Now I'm here, at Betis, I'm living here, that's the most important thing for me." Nevertheless, he acknowledged his role in the expensive transfer to United failing to deliver results. He said, "I am a man who accepts my responsibilities. I think off-field matters affected me a lot, in my performance. I know my potential, I know my qualities, I didn't play in a World Cup for nothing, I didn't return to the national team for nothing. I also take responsibility for it not working out, for not performing as I wanted. But I always try to see the bright side of things. Going through this entire process, this time at United, was necessary to see myself." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Man Utd Transfer HQ, and turn on notifications so you're always in the loop with the latest transfer news and rumors.